Welcome to the new black media where we speak the truth and nothing but the truth. Today's podcast is brought to you by the Fair Use Disclaimer, where, under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allows fair use for the purposes of criticism, commenting, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. With that, let's get into today's podcast. Today's podcast is about an Ohio University student leader by the name of Jacob Fuller, who was criticized for saying, quote, he would love for black people to be taught they are superior, unquoted, reported by the student newspaper The Lantern. His remarks were made during a presentation on the increase in anti-critical race theory legislation. And side note, in my opinion, we have been under a critical race theory and has been led by the white supremacists to this day. But I digress. So Fuller argued that teaching one race to be superior to another is unnecessary, since white people are already taught from birth that they are superior. And in my opinion, evidence of this would include, but not limited to, cartoons, movies, sitcoms, advertisements, basically all facets of people activity. This subtle message of racial superiority can be observed by the dominant society. But I digress. Fuller goes on to say, quote, I would absolutely love to live in a world where black people were taught that they are superior. I would love it because I full-heartedly believe that. But that's not the case, said Fuller. Now, as a side note, I want to agree with Mr. Fuller because I believe that same thing. But I digress. Undergraduate student government president Jacob Chang, however, said the comments were diverging from our values. The comments made during the General Assembly session is fundamentally like diverging from our values, he says. Therefore, it is our responsibility to report a case like this. I think we need to stand in solidarity with all people of color and anyone who suffers from racism, but we need to do it from a space that is unilaterally empowering everyone around them instead of like single out one group, unquote. Well, with respect, Mr. Chang, let me just let you know that everyone doesn't experience racism as much or consistently as foundational black Americans, the heirs and descendants of slaves. So your opinion on this matter really holds no weight, Mr. Chang. All right, well, an OSU spokesperson told Fox the situation is under review, but also cited the Ohio Senate Bill 40, which prohibits state universities from restricting students from exercising their free speech rights. The resolution ended up passing, but Chang, in his Asian anti-black rhetoric and sentiments, said he found John Fuller's comments to be, quote, inherently racist, per the student newspaper, just because he says that he wishes black people were taught that they were superior. That's not racist at all. He says, Chang continues by saying, quote, no matter what race you are from, what background you are from, you cannot say stuff like that, unquote, Chang said to the Lantern. Well, let me end this off for Mr. Chang, the undergraduate student government president, Jacob Chang. Let me state for the record, since this is the new black media where we speak the truth and nothing but the truth, let me state for the record that the status quo, namely European white Americans, have been telling this lie about their superiority to the world. It's been going on for the longest. And this is what I've been making my claims, that they've been teaching critical race theory before anyone. So how ironic is it in 2022 that you have the status quo challenging critical race theory, when in fact that's all you've taught, just racial theories that supposedly say that white people are superior, and then Asians, and so on and so forth until you get to black, which you deem last. And I say to you, no, you're full of crap. We don't believe you. And as a foundational black American, native-born black American, a descendant of slaves, I'd say black people certainly might just be superior. I'm out.